What up, Wargamers? Welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, Stos, and today we are back for another Let's Hobby. This is my video series where I show you what I've been working on and what I have been getting done. So, what have I been doing? I have been working on my fantasy armies, my dwarves and my orcs and goblins. I've cracked out a couple of war machines for each and gotten a couple of new things, ready to start getting worked on. I've been working on my 40k Dark Angels, done a bunch of work for that. And I've also been doing some scatter terrain and objective markers from Terrain Crate by Mantic, just to add a little more flavor to some tables and for, potential objective markers for various scenarios and whatnot. Now, if you enjoyed this video, don't forget, like, subscribe, do all the things. If you've already subscribed, you're a champion. If not, hit that thing, just get involved, come part of the Christos crew. But without any further ado, let's have a look at what I've been working on and what I've been getting done. And here's what I have been working on and getting done with my Warhammer Fantasy stuff. So as you can see, I have a new war machine for the dwarves. It is a grudge thrower. Technically it's a stone thrower in 6th edition, but I like the name grudge thrower. It's, it's pretty sweet. But yeah, super cool model. Painted it pretty simply. I started by priming it black and then spraying lead belcher out of my airbrush on it, just the whole thing into lead belcher. Picked out all of the gold details with Retributor armor, all of the little bronze details with Balthazar gold. Did the rock at the top there with, what did I start with? I started with a Skaven Blight Dinge and then just worked my up through a few different greys, dry brushing it, and then a final little dry brush of Ushabti Bone. I also watered down some Mournfang Brown and put that all over it when I was still at the Skaven Blight Dinge phase, just to put some brown into it and to, really get like some of the detail popping on the stone. So it's all the recesses of it are this this brown, this earthy brown, which is super cool, really nice model. And yeah, I love the stone throwers, grudge throwers. They are super excellent pieces on the table. And then with the crew, they are just in my classic colors of green, gold and bronze. I'm loving some contrast paint at the moment. So like I've the green is the contrast orc flesh. So I started by priming these guys black and then spraying over the top with some white primer from my airbrush, a Zenithal Prime. And then yeah, just lent on the contrast paints to get them done quick. So orc flesh for the green. Actually, there's not a whole lot of extra contrast paints on this. Snakebite leather for his apron there. And yeah, otherwise, Bugman Glow for the flesh, lead belcher for all of the metallics, Balthazar Gold, Retributor armor, the same metallics that I used on the thrower, on the boys, and Mournfang Brown for all of the leather bits. I knocked them out pretty quick. I think like a week of after work evening paints, paint sessions. Got these guys done, ready for a game that I was playing. So. Yeah, they're pretty sweet. There's always, I don't know what it is, but there's always like a super muscle boy when it comes to the dwarves. Like, look at those biceps. Look at him, he is thick. He's the chonkiest of dudes. And I love it. There's always one super chonk dude on the crew for dwarf things. And you can see he's working hard. He's digging up a rock and wiping his brow. Super sweet. Really like these models, love the grudge thrower, keen. And with this, adding this to what I have currently painted for the dwarves brings me up to 2,000 points. Oh my God, yes, the 2,000 point dwarf army is complete. It's happened, I've done it. But I am keen to paint some more stuff for obviously variety, but I can start doing 2,000 point games with them as soon as I get the orcs up to 2,000 as well. Anyway, moving on, I have also painted the cannon of a new cannon for the dwarves, because at the moment the cannon I'm using is the Battle for Skull Pass cannon, and it's serviceable, it's nice, it's a nice little piece, but this thing is ridiculously nice in comparison. It just feels a bit, I don't know, a bit more right in terms of the size as well. The old Battle for Skull Pass one, it's a little stubby. She's a little I don't know, yeah, a little stubby. Whereas this one, it's beautiful. Super beautiful. Painted it the same as the Stone Thrower, sprayed it lead belcher, Retributor armor, Balthasar gold for the various bronzes and golds. Gave it some washes with the gloss washes this time, which actually I think worked really nicely. I haven't used the gloss a whole lot because, I don't know, the idea with the wash is to darken the recesses, and I was like, shiny recesses? Sounds a bit weird, but for these, you know, super lovely dwarf artillery, kind of makes sense, right? For them to be shiny and beautiful, you know, dwarf craftsmanship and all that jazz. So yeah, and then just gave it an all-over really light dry brush with Necron Compound, which is just the, you know, the super bright silver, just to give it all the little edges just popping off on all the bits. And as you can see though, I haven't done the crew. Crew are just Zenithal primed and ready to go. And they're on circular bases, weird. I got this off eBay, as honestly, I get most of my stuff off eBay or secondhand on various little places to get it. And yeah, they came on circular bases, so I'll be popping those off and putting them on squares because ridiculous. But yes, that is what I have been getting done with my dwarves, and now moving on to my orcs and goblins. Oh baby, I have finished one of those chariots. Yeah, look at it. God, the pig wagon. Oh man, I love it. It's so nice. So this was the one that was just primed. If you saw my last Let's Hobby video, you'll remember that I had two orc chariots. One of them was like nicely primed white already, and the other one was like a bit of a mess and needed some love before I could even get to painting it. So this was the one that I could quickly actually just start painting, and I lent super heavy onto the contrast paints for this one. So pretty much everything on here, apart from, I don't know, like the metallics and like the straps on the orcs, is contrast paint. So I did the snakebite leather for all of the wood. So the wooden weapons, the halves of the weapons, the wood of the wagon, and all of that. And snakebite leather has absolutely become my favorite brown contrast paint. It is, I don't know, it is just beautiful. It's got these like yellowy tones to it. So yeah, just one all over coat of snakebite leather on all of the wood. I did, for the wagon itself, also give it a layer of Agrax Earthshade over the whole thing. Just because I found that the contrast paint, like, as I was like moving it around, I just kept rubbing it off with my finger, like by accident. It's, you know, she's a little delicate, the old contrast. So I saw a video where someone was talking about putting a wash over the top of it is almost like putting a layer of varnish, because at least it's a layer of something between you and the contrast. So I was like, that sounds pretty smart. It did darken it down, maybe slightly more than I wanted, but because I really liked where it was at before I did that, but it has helped protect it. It's given a little more depth as well, so it's good. And then yeah, for the pigs, I started both of them with a layer of Gore Grunter Fur contrast paint. But then I wanted to differentiate them. I didn't want them to be both exactly the same. So the one on the left stayed Gore Grunter Fur, and the one on the right got a pretty heavy wash of Agrax Earthshade just to really darken it down and make it a darker brown as opposed to that reddy orange brown. So, and then both of them just got, you know, a number of dry brushes, you know, browns for the one on the brown up to a shabby bone, and then, you know, like orangey browns, which is like, oh god, what is it? Nah, I can't remember. The orange brown that you water down to make like rust effects, for that one, and then again up to a shabby bone, up to a nice cream to finish it off. These little, like, I don't know, these puffy parts of the fixtures on top were done with Skeleton Horde, and then used Black Templar on the stitches. And I think they came up looking awesome. These like big leather strap bits that connect it to the harness were done with Wildwood contrast paint. So yeah, man, everything was just contrast, and I got this done over 3 evenings. 3 evenings, the whole thing from start to finish, and the base. And my evenings, you know, I don't have a whole lot of time. I've got a couple of hours in the evening after work, after I've put my little boy to sleep. where I get to do some stuff. And yeah, 3 evening sessions, I got this thing from just primed white to this. So loving it, loving the contrast paint, man. It's allowing me to get work done, and the quality is good. Like it's pretty good. It's not going to win any golden demons, as people love to say, but I'm just, I'm trying to make nice tabletop plus at best kind of game pieces that just look nice, and I'm super happy with this. The flesh for the orcs, what I did for them was a mix of orc flesh and plague bearer flesh. I tried using just orc flesh by itself, and it actually makes a terrible orc flesh. Funnily enough, it's just no good. But mixing it with the plague bearer flesh, it's got those tones of brown in it, and I think it really works. And I went something like a 5-to-1 mix, like 5 plague bearer to 1 orc flesh, just to put a bit of a deeper green into that. And then yeah, whacked it on. I used that for the driver, and then when I went to do the spearman, I added a drop, maybe 2 drops of wildwood into it, just to make him, a slightly different tone. To be honest, it ended up a little too brown. 1 drop would have been fine into that mix, but I added 2, and in the end I was like, oh Jesus, he's a very brown green orc. He ended up like an olive tone, which was no good. And so to try and, I don't know, to change those tones a little bit, I used 2 different green washes to tint the skin further. On this guy, I used a Athonian camo shade to add a little bit more of the brownish tint into his skin. And for this gentleman, I just used the Bealtan green to enrich it with the green a bit more. And in the end, they actually ended up coming back to looking very similar. There is definitely some subtle difference. I don't know if there'll be much of a subtle difference picked up on the camera, but in person, there is this nice subtle difference in tone between those 2 orcs, because, there are subtle differences in the tones of greens that we used. But again, for a quick, easy job, that's some decent orc skin right there. Layer of contrast paint and a shade, boom, done. So good. I used Black Templar on their shirts. It's looking a little blue on camera, but again, in person, it's like a nice dark black in the recesses and grays on the edges. Use wildwood on the pants, Black Templar on the boots, and that's it. And then just, lead belcher on all the metallics, washed them down with Agrax Earthshade, and then did the, oh man, I can't remember the name of the like orange brown that you water down to make a nice rust effect. Oh God, that's annoying. It's annoying. It'll probably come to me at some point. But yes, I then, watered it down and put some rust into, like, the rivets around the points on their helmets and around the edges, on all the things. It's all just got like a little bit of a rusty crack onto it. And yeah, like the whip is just pure Gore-Grunter fur. And it's this nice, like, orangey, reddy brown. Loving it. The browns of the contrast paints, can't beat them. They're so good. And yeah, and then I just did his base to fit in with the rest of the army, the kind of Badlands style base. Badlands earth, whack some rocks, and my little grit mix, which is just dirt from the garden, sand from the beach, and like really fine grained sand that we bought from Bunnings at one point for something completely different, that I just grabbed a bunch of it. We've got like a whole bag of it sitting around, so now I've got, really fine grained sand for hobby stuff. And it creates this really nice, modulated look to it's really like quite a natural look to the base, because there's 3 just different kinds of rocky business. 2 kinds of tufts. I think it's like mountain tufts from, who are the people that do all the tufts? It's not coming to me, but you know who they are. They're the people. Army painter tufts. And then these like really small ones as well, you can see under there. These like I don't know, 2 mil little tufts. And that's it. That is a chariot done. Hell yeah. 1 out of 2 in the bag. Now you'll remember, if you saw my last game, you would have already seen this guy, but I thought I'd show him off anyway. It is the Goblin Doom Diver, who similarly I lent massively on contrast to get this done super quick. Yeah, like Or again, this was actually kind of the test dummy, because I painted this before that chariot. This was the test dummy to see if I could like use contrast to get war machines done quickly, and oh boy, was it a success. So snakebite leather for all the main bits of wood, skeleton horde for like the the inner bits of wood on the top of the slingshot, skeleton horde for the ropey bits, one of the greys, I can't remember what the grey is, Minotaurum grey maybe, I don't know, for all of these little like ropey bits that connect it. A similar mix for the goblin skin to what I did for those orcs, except I mixed some medium into it, so it was a bit of a lighter, brighter, and yep, totally done, love it. And yeah, that's him done. I think, I got him done over a couple of nights before that game, the last fantasy game that I played. And dude, I was so stoked, got it done really quick. And so like the slime that he's like slicking his way up is pure plague bearer flesh. So you can see by itself, it's not exactly the skin tone that you'd want for an orc, but you mix a drop, maybe 2 drops depending on how much you're mixing up, of the orc flesh into it, and it gives it that richer green tone while keeping those like, browny, earthy recesses, which is, yeah, I'm super stoked with it. It's a really nice little mix, gets it done super quick, and decent aesthetic done quickly is my aim at the moment, because I've got so much to paint. And the crew of the crew, but this guy is my favorite crew, man. Look at him, he's so bad. He's the angriest, smallest goblin you have ever seen, but Jesus, he's full of attitude, amazing. And same thing, zenithal priming gets so much out of contrast paints. You can see there's this like really nice gradient, like really light on top, and it darkens down underneath. Yeah, the zenithal prime and contrast is just it's chef's kiss. It's amazing. And that is what I've gotten done for the orcs, and this is what is coming up. So I got this guy primed. This is my, this is an example of just a zenithal primed model. It is a nice Night Goblin Shaman model, one of the old metal ones. Because yeah, I've written up a 2,000 point list for something that I want to try, and it has 2 Goblin Shamans in it rather than just the one. So that hopefully it might have a little more, magic punch against the old dwarves for Matty B. But we'll see. But yes, for the list that I've written, one of the early lists in terms of like, what is the least amount I have to paint to get a 2,000 point army? This guy's pretty much it. It's him. That chariot's already done, and maybe a couple more things. But I'm like super close. I'm super close, and I love this old model. It's such a classic. Like, look at him. Look at that snarl. Such a beast. And then if you remember, this is the chariot that was just like absolutely beat up and an absolute mess. It spent a couple of nights in a bucket of metho, a little like Tupperware container of metho, and I just went at it with a toothbrush today. And clipped away like the huge gunky bits of like glue all over it. It fell into actually a lot of little pieces, which was actually really good, because even the edges of it weren't meeting up properly when it was originally built. So yeah, I got as much off the paint that I felt like was necessary to make it usable again. Rebuilt the bits that needed to be rebuilt, clipped and stabbed, and got most of the filth off it. I have left one of those chaos helmets on, because that one, I carved a couple of chunks out of it as well, out of the eye and the faceplate. It's it's a trophy. It's a trophy from old battles when they came up against a chaos horde at some point. So yes, this will be it's the piece of old that will always remain from whomever I ended up buying it off eBay, because it was on like a bid on like a whole bunch of stuff. So I have no idea who owned this previously or who built it, but this will always be there from them. So yeah, it's to be honest, before I put it in the stripping into the methylated spirits, I was starting to think that this was maybe going to be a complete loss. Looking at it, I was just like, there's like huge hunks of like plastic and glue just everywhere. This maybe won't even be salvageable. But after, going at it with a toothbrush and then gluing it back together, it's totally salvageable. It was super cheap, and in the pictures that I could see it, I couldn't quite see how bad it was at the time. Once I got it, I was like, oh, that's why it was that cheap. Oh, God. But that's it, now it just needs to get primed and painted, and I've already got the recipe for what I need to do, so hopefully this one won't take too long as well. I clipped it off, it just had like the cavalry bases on the front, clipped them off because they were just atrocious, covered in junk and crap and glue. And yeah, I've ordered a couple more of these like chariot bases, the 50 by 100. So yeah, when that arrives, we'll whack it on it, and that'll be a second Orc Boar chariot for the Orcs and Goblins. So yeah, and as you can see, a couple of those little fixings are still off, but that is it. That is what I have been getting done and working on with my Warhammer Fantasy Orcs and Dwarves. And this is what I've been working on for my 40k Dark Angels. So I have cracked out a squad of Tactical Marines. Yeah, I know Tactical Marines are pretty obsolete these days, but look, at least for now, I'm sticking to my firstborn people. I have started like slowly collecting a little bit of Primaris stuff, so at some point I'll start getting that stuff done, but look, I'm still loving my firstborn. I've had them for a long time and not painted them, so I'm painting them. I'm getting them done. I'm playing some games with them. I'm doing it. So yeah, these are my Dark Angels. Most of these, bar this guy just here, are the Dark Vengeance Monopose Dark Angels. They came with the 7th edition starter set back when the Dark Angels were the poster boys. And yeah, they're just, really nice Dark Angel models. They come with all of the iconography on the shoulders molded in. Yeah, and they're nice, solid little models. So I actually got back into 40k with 7th edition on that set, which was great because Dark Angels were always my favorite. So I picked that up. So I already have a squad of 10 of these guys, which you've seen bits of already, but I picked up another squad off eBay for nice and cheap. But for whatever reason, that squad only came as 9. It didn't have the plasma cannon that's usually in the crew as well. So because I have another sergeant, exactly the same, I did like a super minor conversion, did a head swap from the old Dark Angel upgrade sprue. There's this this cowled head. So yeah, just swap that out so I don't have the exact same sergeant in two separate squads. So yes, there he is, a new Sarge and a new squad. And then this guy here is actually one of the old veteran models. He's not necessarily a part of this squad, I've just pulled him out because I painted him. But I just found that I needed more sergeants. I needed more sergeant models, and I had a few of these guys kicking around just with bolt guns, the rest with plasma guns, and I was like, well, when I need a nice, stock sergeant with a bolt gun, boom, this guy is a perfect stand-in for that. So, I think I've been using him as the sergeant for my Devastator squad, that kind of thing. So yeah, just one of the old Dark Angel veterans in their big, cowled cloaks. Super cool. Sweet old models. They definitely look a little bit dinky, proportion-wise and all that stuff compared to the Primaris. There's no doubting the Primaris models, at least, your classic, kind of like, oh god, what are they called? Inceptors? No. The normal ones, the normal guys that are replacing the Tactical Marines. They look awesome. A few of their releases have looked kind of stupid, in my opinion. But, those guys, Intercessors. The Intercessors look amazing. The armor proportions and everything is just, it's a lot better. But, looking at this guy, he looks freaking sweet until you put a Primaris model near him, and then he looks like a goof. But yeah, there he is. That is my my tactical squad / extra couple of sergeants. I've also painted a Landspeeder Typhoon and a Landspeeder something else. God, I can't remember. They're two different ones. One is kitted with the a Whirlwind, Landspeeder Whirlwind and Typhoon. The multi-melter and the missiles, and one with the heavy bolter and the assault cannon. So yeah, and these are again like I bought these off eBay. So the builds are not amazing. You can see there's some funny little bits where they haven't put them together properly. And, you know, there's bits where things have gotten kind of goopy and gross. But, you know, from the tabletop, from back here, this will look lovely. And it was cheap. It was really, really cheap. And what I actually did, you can probably tell if you have a good look, that is actually a Terminator arm assault cannon that I have just, you know, I smushed and clipped the hand until it just kind of looked like a piece of metal and just glued it up underneath it. Cause hell yeah. But no one else will ever know. Only you guys that watch my Let's hobbies will know. Anyone that sees a battle report with us in it will just be like, yeah, assault cannon, heavy bolters, sweet. But you guys will know that's a Terminator arm. Yeah, hell yeah. But still, you know, painted these guys pretty simple, pretty quick. You know, some really rough and ready basic edge highlights just to bring out the black, because if you just leave things black, they don't look very good. And I try to keep edge highlighting to a minimum because it's a massive pain in the ass, and bad edge highlighting looks way worse than no edge highlighting. And I'm just not that good at it. It's not something I've spent a whole lot of time on. It's just so goddamn tedious. You know, huge props to you guys that can pull it off. I can't really. So I keep it to a minimum. Just did, you know, a big thick one and then, you know, some tiny little corner ones. And I think it looks good enough, you know, from a distance. She looks all right. I don't love the ethos of painting for a distance because when I pick up my models, I look at them nice and close. So... but look, I can't be bothered with too much edge highlighting. Edge highlighting is the worst. So I keep it to the bare minimum that I think I can get away with and still look decent. And I think I've achieved that here. I kept the details pretty light. You know, I just popped a couple of little lights in the back there. You know, I like to pop a little bit of green into my Raven Wing just to keep it all tied together. You know, the green glowing lights and all of that. The bases, it's the same base mix that I use for everything at the moment. I've just got the big tub of it at home, but with some cork. You know, you can see that stuff there is some cork that's just been broken up and glued down. And then I use like a cheap craft gray, like a craft store gray that I got. Wash it down with a homemade wash. And then a couple of layers of dry brush. Dry brush of... one of the lighter grays, and then again with a Shabti bone, couple of tufts, and boom, that is my my urban rubble slash, you know, they're on the rock, the ruins of the rock kind of deal. And yeah, with I do the classic Dark Angel colors, you know, Dark Angel's green, well that's not what it's called anymore, is it? Caliban green for the base, and then man, I'm struggling with paint names today. Warpstone green for like the relatively thick highlight, and then the top highlight is can't remember it, the super bright paint. And again, I don't do everything. I just do the things that I think really need to be done. You know, the really high points. I don't go around the inside of the shoulder pads. I do the outsides, the ones that I can do easily. And it still looks pretty good, you know? It's pretty quick, it's pretty easy. I hit the ones that I think need to be hit and I leave the rest, and it is good enough. Yeah. And this is what I've been working. I've been working on a unit of Black Knights, and I have been spending weeks on these things. Not because I've been just keeping on painting, just because I keep starting other projects while I'm in the middle of still doing these guys. For whatever reason, my enthusiasm around 40k is waning, people. I'm really on a bit of a fantasy kick at the moment. And in terms of the stuff that my channel gets views for, it's definitely fantasy. So yeah, 9th edition 40k has got me in a bit of a slump, I'll be honest. I'm super excited to try out the cards, the Tempest of War cards, because the old, you know, Maelstrom of War was my favorite way to play 40k in previous editions, so I'm super stoked they've brought that back out. I'm not the hugest fan of the clinical tournament style of 9th edition for just basic match play, so I haven't played it yet. I've got my set of cards, but I am super keen to try Tempest of War because I think that will... it'll kind of reinvigorate me on the game a bit. Because I've been a little bit lackluster, it means that, you know, I just keep stepping away from this unit that I've been working on for ages. They're very close now. They're very close to being done. They basically just need like another layer or two of like maybe a layer of dry brush to just really pick out the edges. There's one dry brush layer on there so far that you can kind of see like on the front of the bike there. Maybe a wash or two, and then a couple of highlights on a couple of various things, do the bases, and they're done. So like I've gotten them to a point where they are super close to being done, but they're not. You know, I had these guys to this point and then decided to go paint some war machines for fantasy, because I think I had some games coming up that weekend. I'm like, all right, well, I've organized a game to play something, so I guess I'll paint the thing for the game I'm playing. But yeah, there's 6 of them. Again, eBay, baby. Like I've just bought them piecemeal, like 1 at a time, 2 at a time, here and there off eBay until I have a squad of 6 of them. A few of them, like most of them, are pretty fine in terms of like the models and how they were built, but a couple of them are just atrocious. Like let's dive in. Let's have a look. Where is it? This is not even a Ravenwing bike. You know, it doesn't have any of the iconography. It's got a regular dude on top. They've just like given him a Corvus hammer and it's got a grenade launcher on the top and just called it, boom, done. And I was like, whatever. You know, that'll fill out the ranks. That's fine. In the group, probably wouldn't even notice. But again, it's, you know, you guys get to see the inside behind the curtain of these dodgy models that I use. And then this guy has an alternative helmet, which I actually love. It's just like the kind of like knight style, like, you know, visor helmet. And someone has like carved off the iconography from the front with like the actual Ravenwing stuff. They've left the scroll work, but they've carved off the little wings and claws. Yeah, again, you know, put it in the unit, probably wouldn't even know. But I know, and it shits me a little bit. But it was cheap, much cheaper than buying them brand new. And apart from those 2, the rest are actually pretty sweet. You know, they're all the actual proper builds. So yeah, that is it. That is what. So you know, I just got to do the bases, do those last couple of highlights, and they're done. It's a nice new unit for the Dark Angels. The Black Knights are super cool. I don't know if they're very points efficient. I read that like taking them without the Corvus hammers is how everyone's doing it these days, because you can. So they're like 5 points cheaper a model, which is good. But I don't like that. The Corvus hammers are sweet. I mean, yes, you probably don't want them in combat, but if they get there, those Corvus hammers, they're going to do some work. So I'll probably take them with the Corvus hammers until I realize what everyone else has realized, that it is not the way to go. But that is it. That is what I have been working on with my Dark Angels. And here is my terrain crate, scatter terrain, and objective markers that I've been putting a little bit of time into. So as you can see, this is the livery stable. It was pretty cheap at my local game shop. So I was like, yeah, that could be, you know, could add a little bit of extra flavor to a battlefield. It's just got like a fun little water pump and a trough and this excellent little wooden wheelbarrow. Because hell yeah. A couple of bales of hay and a wagon wheel. Yeah, I mean, I haven't painted all the stuff. There's also, you know, this is what they look like unpainted. It came in this like this brown, kind of like it's a bit like, I don't know, soft and floppy kind of plastic. I think they call that PVC or whatever, because as you can see, I can just be like, but it's not going to break. It's like super, super bendy. So yeah, a couple of little hitching posts that I haven't bothered to paint yet, because I was like, maybe I'll get to the hitching posts. But for now, these are the things that I thought would be nice just to kind of scatter around like a little village setting. I've been doing that a bit, you know, with the latest skirmish game that I did, the Bretonnian versus Beastmen skirmish, was, you know, the village raid, and, you know, a little bit of this scattered around would have just, you know, just added that little bit of spice to the mix. So yeah, that's my terrain crate livery stable, and I also picked up the Battlefield Objectives box, which I thought was super cool. Because in fantasy, there's you know, there is a scenario where there's like an objective right in the middle that you have to go and hold, and I didn't really have anything fantasy appropriate for that. So I was just avoiding playing it until I could find something. And I saw this and was like, oh my god, perfect. Yes, awesome. It's got a bunch of interesting little terrain pieces that could be used for objective markers. So what I have done, it doesn't stand up probably. What I did just quickly was the this sweet little chest of gold, because you know dwarves, they love gold. They could be going after a chest of gold for a you know, everyone loves gold, so that's a nice neutral kind of like objective marker. And I did the dragon egg, or like, you know, if it's an orc objective marker, it would be a wyvern egg, or wyvern, however you say that word. I think I always said wyvern, could be wrong, whatever. Yeah, so, you know, this would be obviously something that orcs would be interested in, and everyone else would be interested in them not having it. So also, sweet little objective marker. Yeah, just really nice little pieces, lots of detail. Painted them both with those contrast paints. I keep talking about it. It was never something I was super interested in until I bought them and started using them. I was like, oh my god, it's so fast and it does it so well. So yeah, skeleton horde contrast paint for the egg. Snakebite leather for the little bits of, like, I don't know, what is this, a nest, and then use the gray, I can't remember the gray, whatever the gray is, for the rock for both of them. So yeah, and same with this one. I mean, snakebite leather for the wood. It makes really good wood. Like, look at that. It's beautiful, multi-toned. You know, the zenithal prime is definitely helping because it's giving it a nice shift of tone throughout it. But it's just such a nice, rich color. And then yeah, otherwise lead belcher for the edges of it, retributor armor, gloss wash, Necron compound, dry brush for all the edges of the little glittery coins, and that's it. They're done. They are done. And I've got the standing stones, these little bad boys, which all have some really cool, like, you know, carved in detail into them. You know, this one's, I think, just got writing or like little glyphs carved into it. And this little bad boy has got this fun little twisty snake. And yeah, there's three of them, and like a little mini one as well, which kind of has like a gem set into the middle of it. And then this lady, who is, you know, this poor lady captured, tied to a stake and ready to go. So yeah, this little set here, that will be the next part I'm going to be painting. I have plans for. So yes, expect to see this in an upcoming video at some point, because yeah, I was thinking about, you know, some videos that I've been making, like, what could I do next? And I saw this, and was like, perfect. Yeah. So that's going to be featuring in an upcoming scenario. And then yeah, this is, you know, a couple of examples of what they look like, completely unpainted, unprimed. So you got like a, you know, a little dead man and his dead horse, a messenger, you know, shot down or killed on his way to doing his duty. And yeah, it's all of these ones just came in this, you know, this grey plastic. This one's super cool. I'm not 100% sure what I would do with it yet, but I'm sure I could come up with something involving this poor downed messenger. And then this bad boy, the signal fire. So yeah, a bunch of logs stacked on top of some stone bricks, and you know, when you set it alight, boom, you stick a little fire on it. Oh, can I get it to? No, that's, well, it sits on there really nicely somehow. Oh, there we go. Boom. Once you know, if and when the objective is completed, you set it alight. How sweet is that? So yeah, super cool box of, you know, fantasy objective markers, which could be used for really anything. I think they are designed for their own little skirmish game that they put out, which I've not tried before. Could be fun. But yeah, it was relatively cheap, and I thought it would have a lot of utility for the fantasy games and stuff that I'm already doing. So there it is. And yeah, with that is everything that I have been working on and everything that I have been getting done. And there it is, another Let's Hobby done. So yeah, I'm really happy with how my war machines have ended up, and I'm super stoked to have finally gotten to 2,000 points with the dwarves. Yes, thank you. I know you're stoked for me. I'm super stoked too. But yeah, honestly, it's been a bit of a, you know, it's been a process, but I've done it. I've painted a 2,000 point army. The last time I had a 2,000 point army fully painted for Warhammer Fantasy Battle was back when Undead was still a single faction. You know, I had a 5th edition Undead army fully painted back well and truly before there were painting tutorials on YouTube, back before I knew about thinning paints. They were awful, but it was a fully painted 2,000 point army. I've never had one since, and I've got one now. So I'm beyond stoked. It's a weird feeling. It's a weird feeling, but it's a good one. And yeah, so it's only going to be like a couple more models, a handful at most, to get to 2,000 for the Orcs. And then I've got 2,000 point fantasy armies ready to film games with for y'all. I will then have to almost immediately paint other stuff just to vary the lists. But that's the whole joy of the hobby, right? You know, when is the hobby done? It's never done, because why would we want it to be? And yeah, but you know, obviously I just want to be able to do some stuff. So it'll only need a couple of units here or there, and then I'm subbing things out, keeping the videos fresh and interesting. And then, like, maybe once I've just got the orcs done, I'm going to start moving towards my vampire counts. I got a bunch of stuff primed the other weekend. My partner, my little man, went away for the weekend, so I had like 2 full days of hobby all to myself. And I built like 30 Graveguard, primed them all, primed a bunch of other stuff, some zombies, some skeletons, some black knights. It's only like half of what I actually have, but it's a start. They've already, you know, the vampire counts have started, people. There's stuff that has been built and primed, so they will be coming once the orcs are 2,000 points as well, and I'm not far off. Yeah, my Dark Angel stuff is looking good. Loving how it's coming up. I just need to actually finish those Black Knights. It's been a thorn in my side for a while. I just want them done so that they are a unit that I can sub into my army for them. I don't think I have 2,000 points painted for my Dark Angels yet. I want to, and I will. As I said, a bit more of my focus has been going to fantasy these days. So, but they'll get there. I will do it. And yeah, loving the scatter terrain and the objective markers from Terrain Crate by Mantic. Super cool little pieces, and they'll be very useful in games. But yeah, that is it, guys. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget, like, subscribe, hit the bell, do all the things. But until next time, I'm Stos. Happy wargaming. And be good to your mother.